Okay, so this video is going to show you how to solve for y. It's the same thing that we've been doing, but now we have another term attached to y. So the main goal of solving for y is to get rid of everything on the same side as y. So in this case, for this problem right here, we would get rid of the 2x. Here we would get rid of the 4x and this negative 8. I'm going to show you how to do that in this video. And over here, get rid of everything that's on the same side of the y. So I'd get rid of this 12, this 2x, and this 5. Okay? So the first step is to get rid of constants. Oops. First step is to get rid of constants by adding or subtracting if you had any constants. So in this case, here's a constant, and this is what I'm talking about. We would just subtract that 12 on both sides. The second step is to get rid of the x term by adding or subtracting, and these are what I mean by getting rid of the x terms by adding or subtracting. Okay. The third step is to simply get rid of the coefficient attached to y by dividing. And what I mean by that is this negative 8 I would divide and this 5 I would divide. So let's do some problems with practicing that. I'm going to show you how to do this problem, so make sure you pay attention because you're going to do this one on your own. Okay, so I know that y is on the left side of the equal sign, so I have to get rid of everything else that's on the same side as y, which means I need to add 2x on both sides. Okay, and this cancels out, so I'm left with 3y equals, I can't combine 10 and 2x because they're not like terms, so I just write it out. So I say 10 plus 2x. Okay, now this 3, this operation here is multiplication. To undo multiplication, we have to divide. This is where it can get kind of tricky. So I'm going to divide by 3 to get y by itself, and I have to divide each term by 3. Okay? So when I finish this, 10 divided by 3 doesn't simplify anymore, so it's just 10 over 3. And 2 over 3 doesn't simplify anymore, so I just keep it as plus 2 over 3x. Alright? And I know my m is positive 2 over 3. And my b is 10 over 3. Okay? So now you try this problem. Okay, I'm going to add 7x, cancels out. Then I'm left with 10y equals 11 plus 7x. I'm now going to divide each term by 10. These don't simplify anymore, so I'm left with y equals 11 over 10 plus 7 over 10x. My m is 7 over 10, and my b is 11 over 10. Okay, let's look at the next problem. This is another tricky problem. So I have x minus y equals 5. I need to get rid of my x term. So whenever you see variables by themselves, we can assume that there is a number 1 right there. So if you want, you can just put 1s. No big deal. So I'm going to subtract 1x, subtract 1x. I'm now left with negative 1y equals 5 minus 1x. All right, y is almost by itself, but it still has that negative 1. Negative 1 is being multiplied by y, so in order to cancel that out, I have to divide by 1. Negative 1. Divide by negative 1 and divide by negative 1. So 5 divided by negative 1 gives me negative 5, and negative 1 divided by negative 1 gives me a positive 1 in my x. So my m would equal 1, and my b would equal negative 5. Now you try the next one. Okay. I would subtract x, I am now left with negative y equals 17 minus x. I would divide by negative 1, divide by negative 1, divide by negative 1. 17 divided by negative 1 is negative 17. And negative 1 divided by negative 1 gives me positive 1. Let's try this one. So I need to get rid of everything that's on the same side as y. I start with my x term first. You always start with your x term first. So I'm going to subtract 10x, subtract 10x. I'm now left with negative 5y equals 20 minus 10x. Then I need to divide by negative 5, divide by negative 5, divide by negative 5. So 20 divided by negative 5 is negative 4, and negative 10 divided by negative 5 gives me a positive 2x. So m would equal 2, and b would equal negative 4. Try the next one. Okay, I'm going to subtract 20x, subtract 20x. I'm then left with negative 2y equals 12 minus 20x. I divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2. Okay, that cancels out. I'm left with y equals 12 divided by negative 2 is negative 6. And negative 20 divided by negative 2 gives me a positive 10x. M is positive, whoops, what just happened? M is positive 10, okay. Hold on. And my B is negative 6. Okay, we have 4 more. All right, again, I've got to get y by itself, so I have to get rid of my x term. This is a positive 2x, so I'm going to subtract 2x, subtract 2x. I'm now left with 10y equals 14 minus 2x. This is being multiplied by y, so I need to divide by 10, divide by 10, divide by 10. Then I'm left with y equals, and if I do 14 divided by 10 to see what that reduces down to, I get 7 over 5. And negative 2 divided by 10 is going to give me negative 1/5 x. So my m is negative 1 over 5. My b is 7 over 5. Okay, you try the next one. We're going to subtract 5x, subtract 5x. This cancels out. I'm left with 4y equals 14 minus 5x. Then I need to divide by 4, divide by 4, divide by 4. So that gives me y equals 14 divided by 4. Oh shoot, hold on, should give me 7 over 2. Yeah, 7 over 2. And then I do negative 5 divided by 4, and that just stays as negative 5 over 4 x. So always see if you can reduce these, because that's how you're going to get the correct slope. Okay, so m is going to be negative 5 over 4. B is equal to 7 over 2. Okay, last two. All right, I'm going to subtract my x term, subtract my x term. I'm left with negative 6y equals negative 5 minus x. I'm going to divide by negative 6, divide by negative 6, divide by negative 6. This cancels out. I'm now left with y equals negative 5 divided by negative 6 turns into positive 5 over 6. And this negative 1 right here divided by negative 6 is going to give me positive 1 over 6x. My m is equal to 1 over 6, and my b is equal to 5 over 6. Okay. Try the next one. I subtract x. I'm left with negative 8y equals 12 minus x. Then I divide by negative 8, divide by negative 8, divide by negative 8. I'm left with y equals 12 divided by negative 8 equals negative 3 over 2. And this negative 1 divided by negative 8 equals positive 1 over 8x, where m is equal to 1 over 8 and b is equal to negative 3 over 2. And that's it.